Well, hello and welcome to a very sunny Bowtie garden. It is afternoon here. The sun is getting ready to set here in about an hour or so, and it's a little bit warm out here. It's been surprisingly warm. In fact, the sugar snow peas, I've ordered a great big shade cloth to put over that trellis to try to stretch out the life of my sugar snow peas just a little bit longer. We are in a little stint of warm weather right now. We are getting plenty of rain, but this is the panhandle of Florida, and trying to figure out the new season. Last year got hot early, but I'm Bowtie Dave, and we talk mostly about gardening here, sometimes about life, and we're out here on the raised beds right now. In fact, you can see okra growing in this whole section over here. We got 45 out of 51 okra plants growing, which is very exciting to me. We had 20 plants last year, and we had a good amount, but we want to make sure to have plenty this year. So we're growing a bunch of it, and this stuff produces prolifically. But that's not the topic of this video. I've mentioned in the past month or two that I'm trying something a little different with my irrigation this year, and you can see that I've got this black tube down here, and there are, in fact, let me turn the camera down here. You can see there's a little green irrigation head, a little plastic irrigation head that I'm experimenting with this year, and it's a very simple irrigation head. It's just simple. There's nothing to it. One little moving piece, and so I had drip the brown 1/2-inch drip tubing all throughout my garden, and I wasn't very pleased with the coverage of it. So these particular heads, though, what they'll do is they will cover a nice large area of the bed. In fact, you can see one over there, and you can see the next one over here. There's nothing in between. That's it. That one over there covers really good in that whole area. No, it's doing good. And then this one here covers the rest of the next spot. And then down here at the end, there's one more. In fact, you can see right here. In fact, oh, no, it's pinned down, but you can see there's another head right there that covers the end of this bed. And you got nasturtium growing, and cucumbers coming up out over here. So things are growing. I even have a potato down here. I think this is a potato that is probably maybe needed to be harvested. I don't know. I'll have to investigate that. But anyway, I'm trying this new irrigation. I wanted to talk just a little bit about what I'm trying. This is in no way a compendium on how to do irrigation, number one. And number two, this is just what I'm trying this year. I may be changing my mind at the end of the year on doing this, but so far, these little heads, I actually used them in a few places last year, and I really like their coverage. They talk about overhead watering. You don't want to overhead water, you want to water on the ground, which is why drip tubing is nice, because you're not splattering up anything. Well, these things are so small and low to the ground, they really don't do overhead watering. They just kind of water an area real low to the ground. And so, I don't know. We'll have to see what happens this year. But I got a few ideas I wanted to show you on video. And again, this is my personal log of the things that have happened here. I can go back and look at on May 14th, I put these things in that I'm about to show you. And I know when it started, and I can look back and say, well, did that work, 6 months from now? And I'll be able to tell pretty quickly whether it worked or not. We're going to look at these. I got a couple of options here that I want to show you, and we're going to look over in what's going to be the zucchini bed, which I still have not gotten that ready yet. Y'all might have seen what I dug up out of the ground underneath the zucchini patch. So glad I got that cleaned up. But yeah, I've got to get over there and take care of that area today too, because I want to have that thing started growing. I'd love to see little zucchini plants in a week. We're getting late in the season. We're coming down to the middle of May, or we're in the middle of May, and I gotta get things moving. So yet again, another year, I'm late on everything. So, here we go. Hi, I'm Bowtie Dave. So first things first, I'll admit I was a little daunted by setting up irrigation, and I wasn't sure what to expect. This black tubing that I'm using is very cheap to buy. You buy a 50-foot roll of it at Lowe's or Home Depot or wherever. But anyway, so I punched a hole, and I'll show you punching a hole here in just a little bit. But I punched a hole, and you'll notice this thing is kind of sitting at an angle, and it's shooting down into the ground. It's not really getting to the cucumber very well, which is a little frustrating. And so the first thing I found was this little stake, and this little stake actually is supposed to hold the black pipe, number one, up just a wee bit. I mean, I would like to hold it up maybe an inch, but I'm wondering if it will actually hold this head straight, so it'll distribute the water better. So, and I'm going to show more about setting up the pipe here in just a little bit, but this is kind of my first priority. This kind of just snaps in here. Oh, wow. Look at that. And it holds it straight. I mean, solid straight. That's a good thing. Okay. Already like that. That's nice. I've got a couple of other places that I'm going to have to straighten up. Let's go look at another one real quick over by the beans. So I only bought a 3-pack of these things, so I didn't get very many because I wanted to try them out first. But based on that first one, I'm already excited about this next one. This one's really laying over. It's been watering the beans, but I know when I plant something down here, which I want to put tomatoes or peppers or something on this side, it's going to be a challenge. So I need to straighten this one up. And I'm actually using the shape of the head here to hold flat on top of that irrigation head. And this one's been giving me the most irritation because it was really over sideways. It was watering off the bed and everything. But that, wow, okay. I'm definitely going to have to get a few more of these. So here's the last one I'm going to do. Again, it's the same type of head. Some of these blow water further out than others. I can't remember what this one does exactly. I do remember when I put it in, I decided it was going to be good enough for this bed. But put it in like that. And okay, I'm very pleased because that's holding it very straight, very level, and that's going to give good maximum coverage. So let's go look at another method here. So this little red thing here in my tomato patch is another head that I have. It does the same thing, except the cool thing about this one, it has no moving parts. There is nothing moving to it, and it does a pretty good job spreading things out. See if I can get up close here, and you can see what it looks like. It has little spiky things in here. The spray hits that top, and it spreads it out in all directions. Again, it's sitting in that pipe and it's kind of at an angle, which is a little annoying to me. So what I wanted to do here, now I'll admit I have a lot of this hose. Okay, this is standard 1/4 inch rubber tubing. This has no holes in it. They make this tubing with emitters every foot, every 6 inches, however much you need. But I have a lot of it just simply because I used a lot of it last year. And one of the things I did last year is, now you can see I put an elbow right here, and I'll show you what I'm going to do here. First off, I'm going to cut this. And this is actually a PVC cutter, but I use it for this because it's super easy. So you can see there, I cut me a little L. I'm going to put, if I can catch my bit, going to put my little bit down inside there. And this one is nice because it actually kind of screws in like that. And then what I need is a coupler. And I thought I had one right here. I do. Look, see, there's a coupler. I'm going to pull it off of here. Try to pull it off. I say I'm going to pull it off. I'm going to cut it off. There we go. Okay, so I cut it off. Now, so this is a little coupler for this 1/4-inch tubing, and you see there's a kind of a spike on each end. One goes here. You got to stick it all the way in there. It does take a little bit of strength, but there's the hole where that thing came from, same type of hole, and it just pops in there. It's supposed to pop in there. Okay, that's in. Okay, so now what I'm going to do here is I have a different kind of stake that I want to try. And it's a smaller version of the other thing. Has a little slot in there for the tubing, but it will hold that tubing fairly secure. And I'm wondering if I can use it to make that thing a little more level. This is a little more fiddly than I would thought it would be. But there we go. And see, it's still a little not quite level. It's better than it was, but there we go. There's a nice solid hunk of whatever under there. So now it's kind of sitting level. So that thing is going to water more evenly all the way around. So we've got tomato plants over here, a couple of tomato plants, and we're going to have some super sweet 100s right along this trellis here. This is a weed. Pull up a couple of weeds, and we'll see how that does. Be sure to follow along with the garden tour to see how the irrigation works. There we go. Okay, so here we have an irrigation head that I capped off a while back. This is in my yard. It was a broadcasting irrigation head, and it comes on right now. It's set to come on every other day in the morning. Let me just show you a couple things. This is the black tubing we already looked at. It's pretty thin stuff. It is very cheap by the roll. I got a roll of, probably this was originally a 50-foot roll. I don't know, maybe a 100-foot roll, whatever it was. And now this is 1/2-inch tubing. It's called 1/2-inch tubing. Now, there's also a 1/2-inch tubing. You can see here, can you see the little hole right there? That's a little emitter. And it's supposed to emit like 1 gallon an hour or something like that. It's not a lot. It looks pretty big right there, but it really isn't a big hole. But there's one every foot. And that's how this brown tube works. Now, this is the same type of very soft stuff. You can see I can squeeze it pretty easy. And it's going to become important here in a minute. Now, we've already looking at this 1/4-inch tubing. Now, there is a version of this 1/4-inch tubing that looks like this with the emitters every foot, every 6 inches, whatever. You can order varying sizes of emitters. But anyway, so that's the different tubes. There's all kinds of different fittings that goes on these things. I mean, all kinds of fittings. This black tubing though, let me show you the fitting for it. Now, this right here is a coupling for the black tubing, and it looks kind of flimsy, but this stuff is actually pretty solid. But this just connects 2 black pipes together, 2 black tubings. Yeah, I don't want to call it pipe because it's really not pipe. Now, there's all kinds of various shapes. You can see here's a T. Okay, it's just got 3 of them on it. Now, another thing that you'll see is this is a hose thread. You can hook this directly to your hose, and it will connect up this black tubing to your hose, which is another way to do it. Another thing that I have here, now this is a 1/2-inch piece of pipe coming out of the ground. It goes down to a network underground about 1 foot, 1.5 feet down. But this right here will thread. It has the same thread. I'm probably going to end up having to get a tool for this. Figures. I'll be right back. Okay, so I decided to do it right. I dug down and discovered that the pipe goes that way, and it also continues that way. There must be another head over that way somewhere that I don't know about, obviously. So as shallow as this is, the best way to do this is to actually come down here. This gray pipe is just a piece of threaded pipe, I got me some channel lock pliers here. I can grab that and I can loosen it. I decided if I'm gonna go get a tool, I might as well do it right. So this head was working when we moved into this house. I know it still works. Okay, so this little piece here. Now the way this works, first off, this is going to thread down in there, and you can actually do it by hand because it's this plastic stuff. You don't need vinyl tape on the threads. You can tighten it pretty good sealed because we're a plastic on plastic. It will conform itself to the threads and seal itself pretty good. Now the way this works, now this stuff is pretty soft. It's been sitting in a hot car right now, so it is kind of soft right now. So all you do is you push this in here, and I'm doing this just so you can, if you're kind of apprehensive about irrigation, and see I screwed this on there and I can push it down further. See how that went further down? And I can screw it on a little more until this thing will not screw on at all. And that thing is on there solid. I cannot pull that off. It's the same stuff that's on the GreenStalk thing, which we're going to be getting to here in a few minutes. So now I'm going to try to thread this. I already see the flaw in my plan. I should have, oh no, you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and cut me a short stub of this. Okay, so that I can turn this onto the thread down here. And you do want to be sure you're threading it straight. It'll go on pretty easy. But the one thing you don't want to do, this nut if this was that piece down there, this nut that's holding the top piece on, you don't want to use that to tighten it because you'll be loosening it back up. A little bit confusing. It does have a 4-sided nut fixture down there. See, I tightened that pretty good. I feel good about that. I'm going to give it about 1/8 of a turn with my channel locks. Not much because I don't want to break it. Oh. There we go. That was about a 1/4 turn. Okay, so that was about a 1/2 a turn. That thing is in there real good. It is not going to leak. So now we got a stub that's the right style. So what I need to put there is an elbow, which I don't have at the moment. I thought I had. Now I did notice there's another irrigation pipe here, which I don't know where that goes. That's kind of interesting. Okay, so here's the elbow, and I'm simply going to come off the top of that with the elbow, and then the hose is just going to swirl around over yonder. So again, this tubing is pretty soft. It pushes on. You thread that on there. And if you don't have the strength in the hand, you can always use a pair of pliers. But it doesn't take much to get that thing on there solid. And it's on there solid. So now we're going to start with our tubing, with our black tubing, and it's going to snake over the bed here. So let me get this on first. And see, I pushed it on as far as I could. And you can always push it on a little more. There's threads inside this thing that's actually crimping this tubing is what it's doing. And it does a really good job. I'm pretty pleased with how solid it is. So there we go. So again, this is not a compendium of everything to do with irrigation, but I wanted to show you how to end one of these tubes. There is a special little fitting here. Looks like a figure 8, like that. And what you do is you slip it over one side, fold the tube over, slip it in that other hole, and that terminates the line. That does it, pinches it closed. So now we're gonna go and put in a couple of irrigation heads along here. So the very basic tool that comes for punching the holes is this little puncher. This is it. It's not much. It's a cheap little piece of plastic that comes with these tool kits, and I use it to put in, whoops, these heads. And I've got a few of these heads. I'm gonna try to do without the brackets simply because I already used the only 3 I bought. But I'm gonna try to put these into this tubing and try to space them in such a way that, number one, the orange tree in the distance, that stump, which is growing again, gets water. There's a mound. There's 4 mounds. So I want one over there, here in the middle, and then one on this end to help see if we can bring this pomegranate tree back to health. So here we go. Okay, so we're down here at the base of the GreenStalk, which you saw us set up in another video recently. And I actually have an irrigation head right here. And I want to tap into this for the GreenStalk. Now, the cool thing is that they make all kinds of adapters for these things. I happen to know that this right here is a 1/2-inch pipe. If you're never sure, go buy 2 couplings, a 1/2-inch and a 3/4, and you can keep them with you, and you'll always know if it's obvious once you look at it. If you hold both of them next to each other, you can tell this is a 1/2-inch pipe. But this thread here is 1/2-inch pipe thread. Now, I'm calling this pipe thread. There's also hose thread. 3/4 inch is what your garden hose goes on. There's also compression thread. There's a few different kinds of threading that are out there, and so you can't confuse the different ones. You can't put compression threading on pipe threading. Compression threading has finer threads. It won't work, period. Hose threading is a lot larger threads, and you cannot put a hose on a 3/4 inch pipe. They're actually slightly wrong in shape. It doesn't work. But my irrigation, I happen to know that all my irrigation is 1/2-inch. So when I go in here and pull this top off right here, which is a I think it's maybe a 45-degree spray. It actually shows on the top here. Oh no, this is a dial in. I can actually change the width. In fact, you can see the white, and get this in the camera. See the white right there, and actually make it wider and narrower. This is a dialable irrigation head. So, but it shoots out that way. But here's the thing. They make all kinds of little adapters. This little adapter right here will go down on this pipe. My irrigation head will go on the top here. But look at this. On the side, there is a little thing, an adapter to connect some 1/4 inch tubing. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to connect to this a tubing to this, go up this shepherd's hook right here that's in the ground, and that's going to go up and put water into the top of the GreenStalk. And again, getting back to automation, and I know GardenerScott showed his video recently. I actually got the automated watering system for the GreenStalk, and I'm having a hard time figuring out how to make it fit my needs. And that's okay. It's a good design. It's kind of an interesting thing, but it may not work for me. So anyway, I'm screwing this down. Now you'll notice this thing just has ridges right here. That means you should be tightening this by hand. You really shouldn't be using pliers on it. So I'm going to tighten that down as tight as I can get it there by hand. And again, it's plastic on plastic on plastic. It'll seal. It'll seal. It's not that hard. Now, if you don't have a very strong grip, some days I don't have a strong grip and I need to get a little pair of pliers and tighten it down. I'll admit, I'm not supposed to, but I have. So I've got to look in here. There's that little white piece right there. Turn that a little bit more because it's got to water that pomegranate tree over there. And water the blackberries. Okay. There we go. That should get it. Okay, so my head is set back. Now I've got a little nipple to hook onto some tubing, which I have right here. 1/4-inch tubing. One of these pieces, this piece right here. This piece is long, and I'm going to strap this up. So now I've got kind of an angle right there. That's not good. I need to cut that flat. And you don't have to have a cutter like this. This stuff you can cut with scissors, folks. You don't have to have a fancy cutter. Remember, I'm a handyman, so I've got all kinds of fun tools. You don't have to have it. Don't spend the money on it if you don't need it, seriously. If this is all you're doing. So I'm slipping that all the way on there. And this tube should be just long enough to go up this shepherd's hook and into the top of the GreenStalk. Okay, so it is hot in this sun right here. The funny thing is, do you hear the thunder? There's a huge thunderhead just right there. It's just right there. But it's going that way. It's not coming this way. So trying to get this project done though before the sun disappears. But so we've got the top of our GreenStalk right here. I've got the shepherd's hook right here. I've got the tubing right here, which I don't want this end on it. Or do I? I don't know. Maybe it'll help control it some. I don't know. I'm learning. Okay, we're gonna try an experiment. We're gonna see how it works. But anyway, so what I'm gonna do is I'm basically gonna just hook this to the shepherd's hook. And the reason why I'm doing all this is so that I can do this. I just want to be able to turn my GreenStalk, and that automated watering system doesn't let you do that. So, and now GardenerScott was talking about he only rotates his once a week. I actually do I turn it 1/6 of the way every day. I'm still learning the GreenStalk, okay? So I don't know what I'm doing either. But I think I'm gonna go ahead and do this and see how much water it gives just off the end of the tube. They do sell little, in fact, I may have one right here. They do sell little adapters that will reduce the flow on these. I just had one in my hand. I can't find it. It's in one of my pockets, but anyway, they do sell little flow restrictors on these if it's shooting out too much water. Now, I'm going to use a few cable ties. Let me just say something about cable ties, folks. Okay. See these black ones? Okay, when you go to the hardware store to buy these cable ties and you're gonna put them out in the garden, if you're getting the white ones, you're getting the ones that are gonna rot in a season, 1 year, okay? These are UV resistant. In the same rack, you'll notice that some of them say UV resistant. Well, that thunder's getting loud. Some of them say UV resistance. The price on some of them is even the same. It doesn't even cost anymore. Here's the cool thing, in the garden, this will last 2-3 years depending on what you're holding. The white ones that you get will not. These are UV treated plastic, and it's worth just reaching 2 inches over, grab from the next hook where it says, it'll say on the package, UV resistant. So be sure and look for that. Handyman, okay? I only get the UV resistant ones because I never know where I'm going to be putting my cable ties, so they get used everywhere. So I'm going to go ahead and just start at the top here. I'm going to leave a little bit extra in the top of the GreenStalk, and again, experiment. Now, these things just lock into place. Don't tighten it, because, ooh, now there's an idea. I could use that as a flow restrictor if I wanted to, but don't tighten it so that it doesn't restrict the flow too much. I might change my mind on that now that I'm thinking about it, but I'm gonna put a few of these around just to hold it in place. I'm gonna snug it in. Oh. Obviously that wasn't tight enough. All right, that's snug. It's not squeezing it, it's just snug. Okay. So that will go off in the morning, I think. I'm a little concerned that it's going to blow everywhere. You know what? I'm going to put this thing back on. I know these are not the greatest things. They have a little screw on top to restrict the flow. They're not great. They plug up. Things happen with them. The top blows off and you're shooting everywhere. So these are not the greatest things. You got to kind of keep an eye on. But see, this is right here next to the door. See, the door is right here. So I walk in and out of here all the time. So I'm going to go ahead and put this on here in the hopes that this will control the flopping around of this thing. And the thing is, I can turn this and it will stay in there, hopefully. Yeah. I might have to untwist that every once in a while, but there we go. So that's my grand experiment with the GreenStalk. We'll see what happens. That irrigation goes off for, I think it's 55 minutes every other day, which right now I'm trying to grow seeds out of here, so that's not enough. I still have to supplement the watering until anything starts growing. I do have some dill down there that has started, but that's it. So anyway, I'm very excited that the zucchini bed is actually irrigated now. So I'm gonna have to check that in a day or two, see how the water's doing. This is Sunday, hopefully by Wednesday, I'll have that adjusted. I don't know if you noticed those little heads were right down real close to the ground. I'm not sure that's gonna be enough spread. I'm afraid I'm gonna end up having to do another little stem like I did over here in the tomatoes with that little red one earlier in the video, and get it up just a little bit higher to get a proper watering. So anyway, just some ideas, things I'm trying. We'll see how they work. Follow along in the garden tours, because I'm gonna cover irrigation too, so you can see what's working and what's not. Our beans are, I'm really excited about the beans. I'll look you in the sun here, but the beans are starting to grow and gonna have my green wall again. That's just the funnest part for me. But anyway, there's an attempt at watering the GreenStalk. GardenerScott just released his how to use the automatic watering system that they got. I actually have the parts and I really like it. It's funny because when he posted that, I was literally sitting there with a bag of parts in my lap, looking at the parts, trying to figure out what I was gonna do. And I've come up with this for now. So anyway, another thing in the garden, there's irrigation. Hey, if you're just stumbling along finding this channel, please subscribe. We talk mostly about gardening, sometimes about life. And this is really my own personal journal of the things I do, as I've already mentioned in this video. And it kind of gives me an idea. I'm not the person to write in a journal. I'm terrible at it. I lose it. I can't find the pen. I say, oh, brother, and then I forget about it with my ADD brain. So it's not very conducive to me. I love making a video. I can make a video because it goes on my phone. My phone uploads automatically to my computer. I sit down at my computer. I leave a window open on the my right monitor. I have 4 monitors. My right monitor, I leave a window open, and there it is automatically. Oh yeah, I got that. So I file it away, I edit the video, and I go. Sounds a lot more complicated than just writing in a silly journal, but it's what my brain does. I don't know why. I like it. I just like doing that. So anyway, that's what this channel's all about. It's just my personal journal. If you've already subscribed, you've come back to watch another video, I appreciate you watching. Hopefully, wow, love that thunder. I love weather. And weather here in Florida is off the hook. It is just crazy. I love it. I shot some time-lapse photography of the storm. The bay is that way, and this storm's coming from across the bay, and it's trying to get over to Miramar Beach, which is about 10 miles up the road. But all summer long you can watch the storms bubble up on the other side of the bay. It's just the coolest thing to watch. I love it. I'll see if I can put in a little snippet of that video here. I know right where that one is, so maybe I can do that. But anyway, so again, subscribing helps. Watching the videos helps. If you thought this was educational, inspirational, just entertaining, please hit the thumbs up. Share on your social media. It all helps with the old Google the YouTube algorithms and all. So we're trying to grow a community here, and our community is just a little part of the overall community. The gardening community is growing by leaps and bounds right now. More people are jumping into gardening than ever before, just so we can put a little bit of a hurt on that grocery store bill. You know, it makes sense. Some of this is real easy to do. Imagine just having as many tomatoes as you could have, and then having some extra for your mom living next door, or another neighbor, or someone at church that needs some food. That just excites me. We're going to have cucumbers galore this year, and I fully intend to give away a lot of them. Like we gave away about half of them last year. Actually, maybe even more than that last year. But I've got more plants this year. So anyway, yeah, can't think of anything else. Comment below if you're working on irrigation and what you're watering and how it's going with yours. Are you using the same kind of tubing? Are you using drip tape? And that's the other big thing. Drip tape. Wow, I'm very interested in drip tape, but the problem with that is I don't plant it in straight lines very much. I have a few straight lines, but not very many. And so drip tape is great for straight lines. I have kind of a mishmash, and my stuff will go pretty much anywhere. So I don't know. I may try it one day, though. We'll have to see. You know, the row of beans, 16-foot straight line right there. I may find that does better with drip tape. I like the idea of having closer emitters, like every 4 to 6 inches, because my bean plants are only 4 to 6 inches apart over here. So anyway, I hope you're having success with your irrigation. Let me know in the comments below where you're at with yours. Biggest thing, folks, don't be intimidated by it. They have these timers you can hook up to your hose spigot. I was very fortunate enough to get a well on this house when we bought it a year and a half ago. So we have an irrigation well. I don't know how deep it is, but it's probably only about 10 to 30 feet deep. That has a big old pump on, 1/2 horsepower pump on it that pumps water every single day for me at whatever time I set. But you don't have to have that. I mean, just they have Bluetooth timers even that you can hook to your hose spigot and hook a hose to and do the same thing. Remember, some of those adapters, same kind of tubing, okay? Same kind of tubing. That's a hose adapter right there, okay? Hose goes on there. Black tubing goes there. That's it, folks. And I don't know about the pressure requirements on this stuff. I would be interested in trying it with 60 psi, which is your standard hose water pressure, 50 to 60 psi. I would give it a shot and see if it works. If it doesn't work, it's going to blow apart the joints. That's all it's going to do. It might split a tube or something, but it's not going to do a lot. All you have to do is, they have a flow restrictor. It screws in, same place. Screw it in. It's just a little, looks like a little piece of plastic, and it restricts the flow, and it actually tells you on the flow restrictor it restricts it down to 25 psi or whatever. If you get one of the kits with that tubing, a lot of these actually come with the flow restrictor in them. You put those on, It's awesome. So anyway, hey, have fun. Automate your watering if you can. Direct it, specify it where you want it to be. It's been a dream for me. I watered by hand before we got to this property, and I've done a lot of work to get this thing to water automatically. And let me tell you something, I don't have to think about it every morning. That is an hour of my life every single day that I get back. And I'm very excited about that. And actually, woo, oh, there's a cool breeze. I think we're about to get rain. So I hope you're about to get rain too, because that cool breeze that we just got feels really good. Oh my goodness. Anyway, blue sky, the back belly of the storm, and yes, it's raining. Y'all have a blessed day.